So if you struggle to hit the ball the distance you feel like you should, or you want to add a little bit more distance in there, I'm going to show you 2 moves to do, and it's all about how your lower body is moving. And you can do this regardless of age or athleticism, and I can guarantee it will ramp up your club head speed. So I'm Jonathan Chan with JChownGolf. Let's get right into this moves we can do, and we'll be hitting the ball further by the end of the video, I can guarantee it. So I think a lesson doesn't go by where someone doesn't say they want to hit the golf ball further, because we know the direct influence of hitting that golf ball further to lower scores. But there's a lot of things that golfers do in their golf swing which really doesn't vibe with hitting the ball quite far. So we're getting into 2 moves here, and these 2 moves are things we see in practically all top professionals, and we see lacking the most in all amateurs as well. And you can do these moves and they will instantly improve your distance. So what we see golfers not getting a big enough hip turn. We'll see them restricting their lower body turn to where they won't be able to get that much turn at the top of the backswing. The more we turn our hips, the more we'll generally be able to turn our shoulders as well. It's not good enough just trying to think of turning your shoulders. You won't be able to get a good turn, especially if you're someone there whose athleticism isn't that great or age is restricting our mobility. We need to feel some hip turn to be able to get ourselves to rotate. And as well, something else we see, which is the second point, we'll see golfers really not moving their lower body correctly in the downswing. So really how they start their downswing with their lower body. We see PGA Tour players out there, they'll begin up to the top of their backswing, and just as they're completing their backswing, their lower body starts to move into the downswing before they even complete it. So we'll see players like Jon Rahm, for example, big time does this. He'll be getting up to about 3/4 of the way back in his downswing or 3/4 of the way back in his backswing and really be shifting, although his backswing is 3/4 length, but he will shift into his downswing before he even gets up to the top of the backswing. We see LPGA Tour players who get a lot of distance out there as well. They do a very similar thing, Lexi Thompson. So let's unpack those 2 things a little bit and understand why they help, and 2, how we can go and implement it into our swing. So the first one here, the hip turn. So you can see I've got an alignment stick through my belt loops. This is to show you, and it is a little drill you could do as well to get this more turn. So when I am getting more hip turn here, you're going to see how this stick gets a little bit closer to the golf ball. So that's me just generally turning my hips. Now, hip turn can help massively, because the more we turn our hips, the more we're naturally going to be turning our shoulders. So if you're someone who tries to really get a lot of shoulder turn in your golf swing, but you're still generally not generating much speed because you might not be flexible enough to really get a good shoulder turn, like me, look, I'm just going to rotate my chest, and I'm really going to rotate my shoulders. Barely, you can't see any of my upper back, can you, at all? That's what we want to see. We want to start to see upper back start to appear. Now, I'm restricting my lower body here. Now, if I really then free up that lower body turn, you're going to see how straight away, one, you can only probably see a little bit of my upper back. That tells you how unflexible I am, but that starts to give me a lot more range of motion. This, compared to this, is a big difference. That's a lot more club head speed in there. So as you can see, I'll be just getting that stick going closer to the golf ball. But if you've really got a keen eye here and you've noticed a few things that have happened in my swing from getting that more turn, you might have seen how my left foot was raising off the ground, wasn't it? So again, if you haven't got that much mobility to where you can't get a good full hip turn and really get it, nice and full, you will have to lift up that foot a little bit as well. So this is here as well. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your athleticism. If we lift up that left heel a little bit, we're going to be getting in that more hip turn. So a drill you can do. You can do it as a drill, you can do it as you playing. Lift up that left heel, it's going to enable you to get more turn in there as well. So you could have an alignment stick, put it through your belt loops, be hitting shots where you're trying to get this stick just pointing halfway towards the golf ball. We don't want to be static. We don't want that hip that's not to move at all. If you're not turning, this ain't moving. We want to get it moving towards the golf ball. The second bit here, so the second bit is what we said with in the likes of Jon Rahm, really in just before you're completing your backswing, that left foot is slamming down onto the ground. We said as well, Lexi Thompson does this big time on the PGA Tour. All the long hitters on the LPGA Tour, all the long hitters on the LPGA Tour do this move as well. So this is, again, anyone can do this move. Doesn't matter your age or athleticism. We just need just to feel, as soon as we're getting into that good turn, as soon as we're just completing it, slam that foot back down. Now, why does that help? That gets pressure being put into the ground. Now, imagine you're doing a vertical jump. Someone's trying to jump up really high. They're going to go up, which is our backswing, down. That's going to be slamming your foot down, back up again. that jump up through. That jump up back through is what's going to happen through the golf ball. That will happen naturally, bit of an explosion. You're not necessarily going to Bubba Watson it through there, but you are going to have a movement extending through that ball. That's going to happen because you are putting that foot down into the ground, putting your pressure in there, it's going to spike up. So this is called ground forces, your pressure putting down onto the ground. Vertical forces, rotational, which is what we've done on the first one, getting those rotational forces, and then the vertical forces into the ground to push you back up again. So by really maximizing that is getting our left foot into that ground as early as we can. So really just as we're completing our backswing, we want to slam that foot down. That will get that lower body separating as well, get the separation between lower body and upper body, and it'll really ramp up your speed as well. So if we tie this all together to hit some golf balls, what we're going to do, we're going to be feeling like, yep, we're getting that more hip turn, but we're lifting up that left heel. This will be a good one to do for anyone as more of a drill as well. But if you are lacking in mobility, you can do this just on the golf course regardless really. So I'm going to get my left heel lifting up. That's going to give me a freer range of motion in my turn, which will be giving me more potential club head speed. And then as I'm coming down, because I've lifted that left heel, I can now really easily think of slamming it just before I reach the top of my backswing. So if I hit a shot here, really slamming it down just before I reach the top of my backswing, where I got that good hip turn, and then just going in there, slamming that down, I'm going to be putting those good forces into the ground and spiking them back up naturally again without really thinking of the ground force part of it. So again, what you're going to see there on slow motion, I'm really going to be getting up there, good hip turn, really firing that lower body and really getting that left heel going into the ground before I complete my swing for that power. So what we're going to see on the slow motion, we're going to see their hips getting a nice full turn, the left heel raising to allow for that, then slamming down, which is really getting that power going nicely into the ground, springing back up through the ball, which just means effortless power. And it really does feel very, very powerful. Doesn't necessarily feel like a different golf swing. Still feels like your own golf swing. It's just got way more oomph without really trying to do too much. You're not trying to hit it harder. You're not trying to do anything like that. You're not actually trying to even swing faster. You're just trying to do the right things in your golf swing to ramp up the speed. Like I said, all top tour players do this. You really need to add this in there if you want to hit that golf ball more to your potential. So if you like this video, guys, and you found it helpful, of course, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, click that subscribe button, hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So 2 things, anyone can do these 2 things. Really get those in there and you will be, regardless of age or athleticism, hitting the ball further.